Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Motorcycle Rewind, and today we're with a 1971 Honda CB350 that has some assembly required. So guys, this is not my Honda CB350, but it seems like when it rains it pours Honda CB350s. Right there coming out of the woodworks. This is a friend of mine's that kind of got in the middle of it and then just a little overwhelmed. Life got in the way and said, hey, could you help me just get this thing back together? That's what we're going to do. And we have to make sure it runs right and all that stuff, but I do not like having to move stuff around. And what I mean by that is I'd rather move all of that when I move this. And I have a less chance of losing any of this if it's all on here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start with this toolbox first, only because the fender, I need to put it on so I can put the fender on. So, because the fender sits on top of it, so I need to get that out of the way. Toolbox on. Let's do the rear fender next. We'll probably put the taillight housing on the rear fender and then just do all that at once. But I will finish clipping these off because I'm going to need these off to hook the rear fender in. At least everything's nice and tidy, nice and organized. Okay, let's start by putting in these guys through here. Feed these wires through. Come on. Yeah, the dogs next door. The one that's sounds like a cow that's mooing is massive, and she has separation anxiety. So, and there's a little one too that you hear sounds like a squeak toy. Okay guys, forgot we had to feed this wire through this little wire channel, so wish me luck. Come on. It's probably not as difficult as I'm making it out to be. There it goes, made it through. Because then it goes through this one, and then it goes through this one. And it goes through that one. Okay, now we can mount this sucker up. Okay, everything goes on all at once. The fender, the rack, and the taillight assembly. It all starts with getting this little rubber boot for the fender in all the way. Once I get that in, I'm going to go ahead and secure this fender. So it gives me one more holding point. Just put one of those in there. Okay. We can find the other one that just dropped on the floor. You guys saw it, right? You couldn't have went that far. Really, it just hit the floor. Did it make it to the floor? Come on. Oh, here it is. Right there. You guys saw it right there and you didn't want to say anything. Gotta make sure you put these guys on too. And make sure you put the turn signals on. Everything goes on at once. Don't worry, if you forget, you get to put them on later. When you're driving down the road and you're feeling them dangling around. And make sure you point them going to the back. Come on, there it is. That sucker in there. One, it's not tight all the way yet. just enough to hold it in so I can put this one on. Like I said, it's not as difficult as I'm making it look. Okay. Maybe it is as difficult as I'm making it look. It's really not. Give me that back. I'll tighten this down with a wrench. Just a minute. Let me get this up and then that over. Now, that guy screws into there. There we go. Okay, so I put the chain guard on. So we have the chain guard, all of this. Let's go with the seat right now. And then we're running out of stuff to put on it, which is so much better. So guys, the seat goes on pretty easy. You have these two spots right here, two tabs that go into right here. And you just slip them on and they have little pins that go right into it. There we go. There we go, there's one. Once you get one in, the other one's pretty simple. Sometimes just opening and closing it, there we go. And then you have washers and little clips. See these little guys? You have these little guys right here. And they go on pretty easy. Slip it through the hole and Bob's your uncle. I mean, if in fact Bob is your uncle. Where'd that come from? Anybody know where that came from? Bob's your uncle? I like it, even though I don't have an uncle named Bob. I do know a Bob. I have a friend that's a Bob. But he's not my uncle. And he doesn't say, you know, I'm your uncle when he's finished with things. It would be really funny if he did. But if you know where that came from, let me know in the comments down below. Bob's your uncle. Where does that come from? All right. Seat installed. Thing's starting to look like a motorcycle. Let me go ahead and do this. I have just these plugs right here. Green and yellow and brown, so it should be pretty simple. Brown goes with the brown. What can brown do for you? That's one. I'll also lift that guy up. This is going to be the green. Sure that brown's in all the way. And then the green and yellow. So now my turn signals and taillight and all that business are, well, my taillight and brake light are all plugged in. Get that where it goes. This guy right there. Might as well put them where they go. There we go. That's it. This 71 had a weird latch, and it's only in this one. It pulls from back here. It hooks here after this. I don't know why they did this, but they didn't do it for long. It went to the key soon after this. So it locks down. If you push here, you can grab the latch and pull it, and then sometimes you need to release the other one. This is a safety catch. It'll release the first one. So this one releases the first one. It's still locked, right? First one and then second one. Two-part. They want to make sure the seat was not going to open. So that's that. We're getting closer. Let's put these mirrors on and then we'll do the side covers. And just like that, we have the mirrors on, and now for the air cleaners and the side covers. Okay, well, you want to make sure that you have your clamp for the carburetor. That hooks on that. You got a couple of things. This guy's got to go in here, this guy goes there, and then you got one little hole up top. So get the boot on the carburetor. There we go. It's got to be going in now. There we go. Nice and snug fit. We'll put this guy through first. We won't put the side cover on just yet. Let's go around and put this guy on first, you knucklehead. Put put this guy on, and then we'll put the other guy on, and then we'll come back and put our side cover on. Okay, so just a little heat gun action. We're going to heat up these two grommets and this one right here, and then we'll a little silicone spray. And this one right here. If you don't want too much heat on this one, because you don't want to melt the plastic or distort it. There we go, just enough. A little spray, a little air compressor, and then it helps if you get this bottom one on first. And then your two upper ones. There you go. Bob's your uncle. That's on. Okay guys, here we are all together. It's so much better not having a box full of stuff over here, and it's so much better having it all right here. This is a nice looking motorcycle. It's going to clean up really nice when we get it running. And let's go ahead and start it up, see if we can figure out what's doing right now. Okay, let's turn the key on. Okay, electric start does not work. We'll figure that out. But fuel on, turn fuel on. So, maybe give it a little choke. Okay. So let me show you something I'm noticing already. And this is something you have to pay attention to, especially with these little twins. If you watch this guy right here, that's my throttle. So you see it, hear it, and you hear it, right? You hear it almost the same thing. This side nice and warm. But watch this side. Watch that one right here. You hear the engine change. That one hasn't moved yet. So right off the bat, we know that the throttle is not even, which could be the problem why. And that's if you install a new throttle cable, and let me turn the key off. That's if you install a new throttle cable and you don't adjust. Let's see if I can see them in here. Yeah, these guys right here. If you don't adjust those properly, this one's got more slack in it than the other one. When you give it gas, it's not, they've got to be moving at the same time. So that'll be the first thing we'll have to do and figure out from there and see if that makes it, but right now it's running. And to be fair, he did bring it in and he said it was still flooding on this carburetor. And when I turned the fuel on for the very first time before I started filming, it was leaking. I banged on it with a screwdriver and it doesn't leak anymore. So the needle was probably stuck after on cue it starts leaking again. No, it may have been that I just hit that. That's weird, huh? That's the first time it's leaked. It hadn't leaked and the fuel was on. Let me bang on it with a screwdriver again and see if I get it to stop. Yeah, maybe the float was still sticking. Yeah, come on. Maybe I got a dead float over here. Wow, it stopped for a second. This thing is loose too. Let's shut that off. We'll have to check that float. We'll see. We know we're going to have, we had planned on already pulling the carbs off and checking to see if there's anything wrong on the inside, but we will have to sync our throttles so that these guys move at the same rate. So I'm gonna heat cycle it a bit. I've got a fan on it. We've got it out here idling, and we're just gonna let it go. This engine hasn't ran for a significant amount of time in a long time. So I wanna get some heat in it and make sure that any smoking that it has goes away, and it already did. The left cylinder was a little smoky, left pipe was a little smoky, and it's not anymore. So we're gonna let it keep going. I'm gonna go around and make sure everything's tight. I already adjusted the throttle, so now my throttle blades work at the same speed, so that's good. Everything's nice and hot, so it's working. So let me just go around and make sure all my clamps are tight and everything's tight, and make sure I don't have an air leak anywhere, and we'll let it keep going. I may turn the idle up a little bit. Just to put a little bit more heat into it. But let me just go around and let it keep going. Okay guys, we let it run outside for about 15 minutes or so to let it get nice and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and put the fan back on it and let it cool off completely, and then we're gonna run through and do it again. I like to bring these old engines around just by heat cycling it. Again, we've already, just by running it a bit, we've stopped the smoking out of the left side, and that's good. We'll cycle it in. The other thing I'm looking to see if I have any leaks. And you can only find that if you heat cycle it. I got to get it hot so it'll start to drain out. So let's see if it'll happen. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this thing off. We're gonna put the fan on, and then we'll let it cool, and then we'll cycle it again. Oh guys, one more thing. I'm not gonna rush to take parts off. Again, I just put all the parts back on. I'm not gonna rush to take parts off. I'm not gonna rush to pull the carburetors off until I ride it, right? Until I can ride it and see if I can figure out what it's doing. Because why take it off right now? Again, it's not leaking anymore. It stopped leaking. So that corrected itself, and it could be that it just had some junk in it, and from running it and running the fuel through, I just got it through. It could be it, and we'll probably still have to clean those carbs, but I don't like to do it until we know what we're looking at. Get it to run as good as the way I look at it, and I'm not an expert, guys, so tell me how you do it, but this is the way I do it. I like to get it to run as good as I can with what it showed up with, and then how can I make that start running better? Before I start loading the parts cannon and just shooting parts at it and thinking I need to change things, So right now it's running really good. It has a little surgy to where the idle is level, it creeps up and it creeps down, it's just a little wavy. Probably some clogged jet in there that it's not running quite right. But again, we're gonna keep heat cycling it, we're gonna run it through a little bit, and then we'll get to clean the carbs when we get to that. But I want to know what it's doing before I get to do that. I think sometimes we do too much too soon that we don't have to, right? If we don't have to spend the money, don't spend the money. If we can just clean it and clean the carburetor, take it apart, put it back together, cleaning it, sometimes that's all it needs. So let's let this sucker cool off. I'm going to put the fan on, I'm going to dry it off, and then we'll get back to it in just a little while. Okay guys, as it was cooling off, I could not help myself, and I went ahead and I clay barred the tank and then polished it up. We did compound, then we did wax on top, then we just wiped kind of everything down. I haven't cleaned the wheels yet because we still have to ride it and things like that, but I just couldn't help myself. Thing looks really, really good. It looks really good. It's all together. It runs, which is awesome. The carb is not leaking, which is even awesomer, or more awesome. And it looks really good. And it's all in one piece to be able to roll around. So that's awesome. So guys, that's where we're gonna end this video, because the next thing we have to do is take it for a ride, but it's raining and we can't do that now. So that'll be the next thing. That'll be in the next video. We also have to take this guy for a ride. So maybe the next video will be CB350 is going for a ride. Place your bets on which one do you think is going to have to be pushed. Hopefully none of them. So guys, if you made it this far, thank you so much. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. If you've been back and forth, thank you so much for watching the videos. It really means a lot. And I want to thank you for watching yet another episode of Motorcycle Rewind. And do me a favor, like, tag, share, and follow us on Instagram at Motorcycle Rewind. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And while you're in the subscribing mood, just wander on over to our friends, Brickhouse Builds, Gold Guy, Moto Mango, Ace Cafe Bikes, Mile Zero Racers, Plan B Motos, Pete's Classic Cycle, and Lady Moto Bang. And give those guys a subscribe too. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next time.